Hi YouTube, this is Ashley Ashlog. I know it's been a while and a couple of months and I haven't done a video, but I did want to just kind of give an update on my locks. I am now 2 years and 9 months locked, almost 10. Yes, we lockers do count our months. Well, I do. But yes, I just wanted to kind of give an update on my locks and just kind of go over what's been happening, what I have encountered, what I've been doing with my hair. So first of all, if you haven't noticed, I retwisted my hair. Yes, it's been about 3 or 4 months and I decided to retwist my hair, and being that we are now in the house, I was able to keep the clips on for about 3 hours rather than going under the dryer like I usually do for the 45 minutes. Because when I was doing the 45 minutes, I was noticing that my hair was still wet. Like I would take it off and I'm like, okay, it's still wet. But what I did was I was having my clip stand in the house for about 3 hours or so. And that last, like, I did go under the dryer for about 20 minutes, and that's because this part of my hair was still wet, and that's because I washed my hair later in the day. I would suggest for anyone who does not want to have mildew in their locks to definitely never, ever, ever wash your hair at night. Like that's just, you just waiting to groom some mildew. But if you do have to wash your hair, I would say to give it about a 12-hour window. So I usually do not like to wash my hair after 10 a.m. That way I allow myself 10 hours or more for my hair to dry naturally. You might want to go outside if your hair is thicker. You want to make sure that you're getting some type of heat or something, or if you're maybe you have to sit under, I'm sorry, not sit under, have it like with the wet towel or keeping it, because I usually just wrap it up in a t-shirt for like 4 or 5 minutes, take it down, oil it, and then just pretty much the water soaking all over me. I don't care. But like I said, I do that early morning wash, so I have all day for my hair to dry, so my hair does not smell like mildew, especially if you have thick locks, because what can happen is the mildew can get stuck in your hair, in the inside of the lock, and you can smell it. You can smell the difference, but you don't want that to occur. So with this retwist I did, I was cold. I went outside. I know that the world's on lockdown or going on another lockdown here. So going outside with all my scalp showing, I was cold. Now I've tried to buy a couple of hats. My head was already big. My head is big naturally. And with these locks, I can't fit a hat. And it's just like, unless I'm walking around with a hoodie, my scalp is just cold. But let me show you my locks. Let me show you them. So this is the front. Let me see here. Oh. Yeah, this is my front. Let me show you a side view. Ah. Standing up, standing up. Okay, the other side. Locks, locks, locks. My layered locks, layered locks, layered locks. So I will be 3 years locked in, hang on, let me adjust this thing here, in February. So with many of my locks, I now have crocheted those two-headed dragons. Yes, I got me a crochet needle and went do 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 do, struggled, poked my finger, bleeding. I'm like, this is, I don't know how people do this, like a full crochet head from beginning to the end, because I was bleeding from the crocheting. But I decided to, or either my lock decided to not be a part of the crochet because it just was really big. But this one I'm keeping as a two-headed dragon. It just didn't look right with it being combined all the way through, because it just was really awkward shape and bigger than, I don't know. I just couldn't get it to shrink down. It just didn't flow from the new growth that's happening and the old locks. But if you look at my hair, you can see where the locks started off. They all have like not an indention per se, but the shaping of it, you can see like, okay, like here, like where my lock started. So ideally over the course of time, I do want to cut off those original starter locks. But if you see here in the front, these two were cut. And that's because one of them was dangling by a thread and it was just like, I have cut my ends of my locks. Like if they just are just too stringy, like I don't want helpless looking locks on my head. Like I am okay with cutting them off, especially how I had these, because a lot of them had big bulbs and then a tiny little tip, like snapping, snapping, snapping. Anyway, so that is what was happening with one of these, and to keep it proportioned, I cut off the other. However, the hair in the front of my hair never really did a coil, like a real tight coil. So now it's kind of like some straight stringy kind of, I don't know what's going on here, but I tried to crochet it to fix it, to make it look like a bulb lock, but I couldn't. I don't know how to do it with it this tiny, but over the course of time, hopefully it will lock. Yeah, that's the plan. But and then these two are like my most disobedient locks. Like they just be like in their own little world. And like I'll have like a lock just over to the side or a lock in the air. It's always these. Like that's like the running joke in the house, because it's like I have the little disobedient locks right in front of my head, but everybody else kind of acts right. But yeah, so I will be 3 years locked in February, and ideally I hope to be able to do a video before I hit my 3 years. So that's why I just kind of want to check in. So to maybe within a month and a half, I will check in, and then after 3 years, I'll try to squeeze one video in there before I hit my 3-year locked. But yeah, this is me. Still locked. I have no urge to cut my hair. I have no urge to color my hair. So even though I'm talking about cutting off these little trims, it's just more for my presentation. Because even though I am semi free-formed and I can sew, like, that's why my hair, a lot of it, I just did this yesterday, but I noticed that a lot of them are already redone. Plus, like I said, I was cold and I felt scalpy. But I had to go in there and clean some of these locks up that were starting to merge. Just me. That's just how everyone as a semi-free former will have their own style of how they want to maintain or not maintain. I say whatever pleases you. There's no set handbook. There's no lock handbook. There's no lock official anything. It's just like whatever works for you. That's why lock is something that everyone can pretty much do, because you can create your own personality, your own routine, your own whatever. Like there's not anyone that says, oh, I can't have locks, because however the vision you have for your locks and the way you want to maintain them, I'll say, because you can't predict your locks. Well, you can kind of alter it, because like I will say, for me, if I would have combined my hair sooner, I would not be dealing with these ends that are different. But then it's not really that bad. Like as my locks are maturing over time, it doesn't stand out to me like how these ends from the original combine. It's not that bad, because eventually that's going to not even be visible, because it'll just be further down my back. But in the beginning stages with my locks, it really stood out to me. Like, oh man, like I can see all the different, all the different things with my hair, but it's okay now. It's not that bad, but I do still kind of want to cut it. I guess because I kind of told myself that in the beginning, but in actuality, I really don't have to, because it's not something that, unless you're all up in my head and I have no one retwisting my hair or washing my hair or doing anything but me, it's not something you ever notice. Like you're just like, okay, her hair is locked. Like I have to actually go and say, can you see this? Do you see how, do you see how this is? Like this is what, but there are no perfect locks. But it's just, whatever makes you happy with your locking process. But I will say, if you want to combine your locks, you want to have thicker locks, like how my locks are even thicker. Like if I wish that I would have possibly made them thicker, you know, but it is what it is. So I would suggest, if you are interested in possibly having your locks thicker, do it now. Do not wait, because I combined my locks at 4 months, which is why I have like little stubbies at the end, because I sewed some of them and I had them sewn for 2 years or more. And underneath that needle and thread, those locks were still separated. That's why you're able to see that two-headed dragon. I did that, have like 15, 15, 20, I don't know how many locks, but a whole bunch, 15 to 20 locks with the two-headed dragons. And once I bought the crochet needle, that's when I was able to make these more solid without the thread. Because what happens with the thread is I would look at the thread sticking out of some of my locks and start poking at it. So it just was me and my OCD of looking at my hair and seeing a piece of thread, because I know it's there, because I am the one that combined my locks. Like, it's a lot of imperfections and stuff that we have, and we're our own critics for our locks, because to the general people, our locks are perfect. Like, our locks are great. Like, oh my gosh, your locks are so nice, your locks are so this. But to ourselves, we're our own worst critic, we're our own worst enemy. So a lot of times we cut our hair, mess up our hair, or just like ruin our locks because of what we think people see in our locks, when in actuality it's just us, because we're all up in ourselves. Like, we know our own imperfections, and the rest of the world really doesn't. And that's just kind of something that we have to kind of tell ourselves, that there are no perfect locks, and your locks are perfect for you, and to everyone else, your locks are perfect, period. But yeah, so that's kind of like off tangent, but kind of related. Just wanted to kind of share that tip. But this is Ashley, Ashlock, checking out with the lock update. Peace.